Cool.
And we're going to give some people some chance to join us. For those of you that are new here, welcome to Eleutheria. I know a lot of people don't know how to pronounce that, but they generally do get it right.
Eleutheria.
It's Eleutheria. And
I practiced.
tonight, you what?
I practiced.
And nobody even taught you.
Eleutheria.
Like you just assumed.
Yes.
Oh,
well, you know
did you
what?
read my tweet?
You have to forgive me my assumption. Yes, I also read your tweet.
I thought that was quite good of me to come up with it, like, I don't know, 1:45 last night, when somebody didn't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was stupid late last night when I was still on Twitter. Anyway.
Okay. And that's what you come up with at that time.
Well, somebody asked me, how do you pronounce it? So I was like, well, this is how you do it. Like, how do you put that in text? Like, and I still checked it with my husband. I was like, do you think this is a good enough reply? And he said yes. So, and I mean, he's pretty smart. I mean, he married me, so he must be smart.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay. Well, we'll give him once or twice hitting a target, right?
Yeah. He does admit that he does get one or two things right, and I'm one of them. So
one or
there
two.
we
Okay.
go.
Well, cool. Good for him.
So we do have some people that have joined us, so that's great. This evening, I'm talking to a guy called Bryan, and he has been amusing me since the beginning of lockdown with his take on the COVID stats. It's very dark comedy as well. So, like, just a trigger warning for anybody who's watching. Like, this is a snowflake-free zone, which I hope people are also learning about my channel. And so, well, Bryan,
if they haven't yet, they will after tonight.
Absolutely. So I'm either going to gain a crap ton of subscribers, or I'm going to lose every single one of them.
We should have a rant.
We should have a huge
Find
rant.
some subject and have a rant, right?
Yeah, I tried to let my little Tasmanian devil out on Saturday. So if you want to go back and check out my Pier de Force rant, it's a short one. It's 10 minutes. So when we wrap up here, everybody can go back to that one.
I actually looked at that today, and I was going to click it open, and I kind of had my finger on the mouse button. Oh, that sounds kinky in my head. Anyway, so I had my finger on the mouse button. I was going to click on it, and then someone called me, and I just haven't got back to it.
Oh dear. So, well, here's your reminder. And Mr. Punisher has joined us. Thank you very much, Mr. Punisher. He's brought popcorn.
Oh,
so
popcorn. I thought he said lube. I was going to say wrong channel.
Yeah, that's later.
on a different platform.
Yeah. I don't have an OnlyFans.
Gideon's promised we can open a Pornhub site or a Pornhub channel. I'm so looking forward to that. Yes.
Okay, I think I'll give that one a miss because, like, there's only so much sausage I can deal with. But Bryan, like, there's one thing I really wanted to ask you, and that was like, how dare you? Well, yeah, there's a couple of things, but let's start with how dare you? How dare you mock the stats? And like, how can you be against the lockdown? Like, really, why?
I'm awful because I don't like bullshit. Bullshit smells, and unless you work it into the soil to make the roses grow, right, it has no purpose, not a fucking purpose at all, exactly like the lockdown. That's why I don't like it.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if you want to add or want me to add to that, but here's the thing, right? When someone tells you, and I sincerely hope you teach your kids this, when you tell them X, Y, and Z, unless it's a fucking emergency, I should sincerely hope they turn around and ask you why, right? Because that's a basic fundamental question. And I deal with emergencies as a living, and somewhat not ironically, because, you know, it is sort of the thing that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. But I have been doing analysis and assessment on COVID-19 since November last year. So I have a fairly good understanding of this event, right? Of this disease and how it's impacted communities. So when I saw the South African government, well, let's be more specific, right? Cyril and his National Clown Club do what they did. It gave me a trigger warning, right? My bullshit detector went off the charts, and you know what? I thought this was an opportunity to start not creating a counter view, because it's not a counter view, just to say, you know what? Look a little bit deeper than just the bullshit they're throwing out at you. And here was the primary bullshit reason. Number one is they gave you a number every single day, and they're still doing this. I mean, Zweli Mkhize is a fucking idiot, or not an idiot. He's a fucking disingenuous bastard, right? He tells you every day, be so scared. We have 70 some odd thousand cases, or whatever the number is today. It's around there. Okay. What he doesn't tell you is that we've had, 54% of those are already recovered. They're no longer an issue. Okay. And now let's devolve this down. Sorry, did you want to say something, or can I rant on?
No, go.
Okay.
Go for it.
Don't choke on your popcorn, Mr. Punisher. Okay. So here's the thing, right? There's so much bullshit just thrown at us, and no one is asking a question. Well, okay, let's unpack this. If you say something, let's understand what something means. What impact does something have? And let's take this back to something that's easily contextualized. If you're dealing with the flu, right, which is probably broadly equitable, okay, and yes, and I've just triggered a whole bunch more snowflakes. Melt, you little wusses. Okay, so here's the thing, right? If you're dealing with something like the flu, and you have, or even swine flu, or one of the bird flus that we've dealt with, when the event impacts you, you deal with the impact that you are currently facing. I have 10 cases now. If I've recovered 5 cases, then I don't say, well, I had 10 cases, but now I have 5, which is what Zweli Mkhize is doing, right? But he's doing that this way. He says, I have 75,312,15 cases. Panic, stay at home. You get where I'm going. He's not letting you into the whole picture. He's just throwing the most scariest line out. Okay. So yes, why does it bug me? Because if you want to understand the impact of an epidemic, something like Spanish flu, right? Bird flu, H1N1, I think. You look at it from the day it started to the day that pandemic was completed. Then, now he's lolling. Okay, don't loll in public, Punisher. Right? So, no, I'm not that much of a boomer. I do know what lol means. Anywho, so you look at the totality of the event, right? From day one to day end, that's what it is. That's the only time that cumulative number makes sense as a track of progress, right? Every other time, if you want to understand the draw on your medical resources, you need to look at the active cases, more specifically, the serious active cases. Okay, and we can talk about that other component, which just illustrates how stupid they are. But that's kind of what pissed me off. And I was just sick and tired of people saying, oh, it's so bad. Look at this. And we are going to die by the hundreds of thousands. Right? I mean, come on. What does that Oxford model predict? We should have had, something like 80,000 deaths already? They're fucking doing a good job of hiding them. Right? So, I mean, have we had 80,000 deaths even in totality during that same time period? Our math says no, but no, actually, yes, we would have had quite a bit more. So what, 108? Okay, I'm not going to do the calculations now because that'll just get boring. But yeah, it's just utter bullshit, and the bullshit pissed me off. So that's why I went on my little foray.
Yes, and you were posting the stats on your personal Facebook profile publicly, and then you were also posting them on a Facebook page, paratus.info, which your good friend Tidion runs. And then because you were posting actual stats there that you got from an official source, which was our
We
South
got soft
African
banned.
government. You got soft banned.
Well, no. Actually, to be fair, let me tell you where I source my data from, right? So I actually have a couple of different resources. I use the John Hopkins resource because I can see CSV their data, so I can automatically collect it. Okay.
Yes.
And then I can import it into an Excel spreadsheet and do all sorts of calculations on it. Then I use exactly the same source that the World Health Organization uses, exactly the same one that Johns Hopkins uses, exactly the same one that the BBC uses, exactly the same one that a myriad of other fucking very well-regarded subject matter experts on epidemiology use, and that's Worldometers, right? In fact, Worldometers, WHO does use them in certain respects, but Worldometers takes their data directly from the WHO CSV files. Okay, and they also have a very good analytical staff and a very good tracking data gathering staff, right? Why would you not use them? Okay, and based on this, and then I also go and do additional sort of ad hoc, add-on, bolt-on analysis from the South African government's own side. And some little nefarious fuckwit probably reported this, and we had a closer look. And I don't know if we got fact-checked without being told that we were fact-checked, but then we got a soft ban, bang, and suddenly our distribution and those little stats updates were gaining a lot of traction. A lot of people were enjoying them. But now I'm just I'm fucking Zuckerberg's system right back in him. I share it from my personal page. And it still gets a very wide readership.
Yes.
So, well, I beat his stupid system. Well, so far,
well,
at least.
I think that's why it's really important that Gideon and myself and the bigger guys, Ronaldo, Ramon, and Germ, are actually doing alternative media, that we're actually trying to get our voices out there, and we're not actually worried about like being demonetized or anything on YouTube. Not that some of us are monetized yet, but if it even comes to it, I'm not going to watch what I say because I don't want YouTube to demonetize me. I don't care about YouTube demonetizing me, but what I do care about is that they don't suppress me in their algorithm. So, and I think that's where, all of these big tech companies are being really, really unfair, is they're suppressing freedom of expression. Like I don't think that's right. Like, and especially when you're sharing actual facts. Like,
yeah. So let's be a little fair.
And we've lost Bryan because he's got an awful internet connection. He'll join us again.
Am I back yet?
Yeah, you're back. There you are.
Okay. Okay, Donovan, I'll get back to you just now. But are the tech companies obligated to provide you an absolutely impartial forum? It's still their platform, right? I would say that if I was in their business development or their business operations, I'd say the more impartial I can make my platform, the better it is for business. But we can unpack that one later. Let's ask Donovan. So Donovan asks, you grab these stats. However, how do we know that even those are not manipulated? Yeah, Donovan, that's not yours. You should. Okay. So Donovan, that is always a risk when it comes to data collection, right? Coming from the intelligence background in a former career, you obviously have to do a source assessment, okay? One of the methods that you use to assess sources is to understand how trustworthy do other intelligence gathering or intelligence or information usage platforms or organizations consider that source to be, if it is an open source, such as Worldometers, right? So yes, there is a risk. In the Wildermeters case specifically, I think it's a very small risk. There's when you compare their facts to the John Hopkins, their data to John Hopkins data, it's very, very it's very consistent. I had some of my own research team just do an independent track along for a while using other data sources. And whilst, they're not 100% correlative, the margins are so small that it's, I would say it's a safe risk. And you've got to have some information. Otherwise, the only people you will believe is what big daddy government tells you. And they're the last people you should believe. Really, seriously, the absolute last person you should ever believe is the dude who says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's the scariest fucking sentence anybody can say to you ever. I think I'm
agree with
misquoting. Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on that. And yeah, that's when I first started smelling a rat with this whole thing as well. Was the state of disaster was declared, and then all of these additional regulations started coming out, and there was basically the suppression of information. Like there would only be the only information about COVID that would be allowed to be shared was by government and by their official sources. And that was like just trigger warning for me. My hackles were up and that was it. And it was not even...
that little regulation of theirs didn't fucking age well, did it?
No, not at all. But they...
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, they called for a lockdown, which I did agree with initially. But I did think that it was too soon. Because
Why did you agree with it initially?
Because I very naively thought that, okay, we lock down, everybody just stays home for a short while just to prepare the health sector. But it didn't take very long, did it, for us to realize that this wasn't about preparing the health sector. Because first of all, I think it happened too soon after we had our first case. I mean, we were locked down before we even had 100 positives or something ridiculous. I forget exactly, but I felt that it was too soon. And then when it started coming out that, oh no, you won't be able to buy cigarettes and you won't be able to buy alcohol. And even though dear old Squirrel had told us to work from home if we could, they then made it impossible for us to work from home because we couldn't purchase the things that we needed to be able to work from home. Places like Vodacom, MTN, any of the mobile data places were closed. You couldn't buy a router that you could actually have connectivity to the internet that you could continue to work from home.
Which is all cool, and those are all mechanisms of the lockdown. But why inherently did you first agree with the lockdown?
Because I didn't realize it was going to be as hard. Such a hard lockdown and such a power grab. I think it took me about a day, and I was like, no, fuck this shit. I was like, no. Like
the education
like
of oppression.
I thought we'd have like a European style lockdown, which is what we have right now under level 3. Is how Italy was locked down initially. Yeah, that's what I thought it would be. But I'm new to all things Eleutheria.
So here's one of the reasons why I would fundamentally disagree with even a day of lockdown, even a single day, right? I think, sorry. Okay, Donovan, I'll get you now. Okay, but whenever someone is told or the government tells you, okay, we're going to all lock you up, right? Because we're scared that a disease, which even at that time, when we were in March, was fully and clearly understood, targeted a very, very specific group of people, right? Which was not the majority of people. In fact, it's a very, very small minority of people.
And
less
especially
than
in
5%
South Africa.
at that stage, less than 2% right now in terms of the high risk. Okay, but a very small subsect of people, and you say, guess what I'm going to do? Okay, I am going to put all you fuckers locked up in your houses to protect that person. That puts me at, you know, in my mind, my immediate reaction is, you know what? They used to do that shit with me at school and when I was doing basic training and stuff like that. Your Mikey het opgefok. Hy's 'n Mikey naier. Nou gaan julle almal kak, right? And to translate that, your friend fucked you over. Now all of you must get fucked up. Okay? And that's exactly what the government has done. Instead of saying, okay, wait, let's take a pause. Let's consider the facts. Because rule of crisis management, what's the first rule of crisis management? It's probably not a crisis. It really probably isn't. Certainly if you look at it from outside of your perception. They didn't do that. Why? Because they're mainly idiots. They're definitely not risk or crisis managers. Okay. And then they said, well, what's the biggest stick I can throw at this stupid thing? I don't want facts to lead me. I want emotions to lead me. Right? Lock everyone up. Easiest solution. But it's a bullshit solution. It would never have worked. It was never the right thing. The right way, right? Sweden probably had the most correct way. And yes, I know a whole plethora of people are going to say, hey, you can't compare Sweden with South Africa. Fuck all of you. I can compare with whoever I want to, right? And ultimately, you can compare Sweden with itself. You can compare Sweden with its neighbors, right? Sweden has had a negligible economic impact and a negligible disease impact. Why? Because they understood that this disease has it might be very widespread. Hey, they might have a whole buttload of cases, right? But the deaths, again, the actual profound result from any disease, which is death, is small. I mean, so small in South Africa. What are we at? On average, 0.8% of our daily death toll. Our daily death toll, government's own statistics, 1,749 people die in this place every day. That's no economic shutdown required. That's just South Africa. Okay?
Yeah.
Currently, COVID-19 does 0.8%. Even at death peak, which was 2 days ago, the highest death toll they've recorded in a single day, which was 88 fatalities, right? 5% of our total daily death toll. That's not a problem. That's not that's not something you fuck your entire economy over. Okay, that's just a thing that you deal with every day, like freaking bird flu, swine flu, like any other infectious disease. Sorry, again, you said you wanted a rant. Sorry, Donovan had a question. Can you bring it up again?
I think also in March, there was a lot of media hype, and also, like on the topic of you can't compare us to Sweden because we have different socioeconomic this and different behaviors amongst people that and blah blah blah. There's a whole bunch of reasons why we shouldn't be compared to Sweden, but then why were people saying, but look at Italy? Italy,
well, it's not just that.
Was it outlier, an absolute outlier? Nobody has experienced the amount of death that Italy, or the overwhelming hospital cases that Italy did.
Let's highlight the differentiations that we can highlight, right? Okay. We understand that COVID-19 targets primarily an older population. Okay.
Yes.
What, 65 and over. Okay. That's its primary focus point. So you can make a comparison between, well, what percentage of your population in South Africa falls within that bracket, right? That's our first sort of narrowing down of a thing. And what percentage in Italy? And you can make that sort of comparison. Absolutely correct. You can't compare the two because South Africa's median age is 25 or 26 or something. Italy's median age is right up there with the 60s. Okay, it's the same with the UK. Why are you seeing such a high death rate there? Well, it's because they have a far higher proportion of their society being older people, folks within that target age group. Okay, so you can make comparisons within very specific parameters, and let's come back to Sweden. So they say you can't compare Sweden to South Africa for all the reasons you mentioned. Sorry, excuse me. Right? But here's what you can look at. You can say Sweden, what's it, 10 million plus people stuffed into our really small little country. What do viruses like high dense populations to ease their infection? Would that not be one of them? What else do viruses like? They like somewhat cooler weather. So maybe you shouldn't compare Sweden and South Africa, because Sweden has a more conducive environment to infections, yet they did nothing. Well, very little. Okay, they still do very little. The people in Sweden, they're not facing an extinction level event either. They haven't hit these ridiculously stupid Oxford parameters. No, Donovan, to come and answer your question, why did the supposedly intelligent countries do this? You know what? They bought into an easy fucking option. And this is the human mindset at its best. People don't want to say, well, you know what? I need to understand fundamentals of something and develop a solution specific to my impact, the impact of an event to me. No, they want someone else to tell them, this is what's going to happen and this is what you must do. It's a magic bullet. And you see this in all walks of life. I see it especially when I'm training people in combatives and defensive firearms use, etc. You have so many people who say, but what do I do if X happens? Well, I said, if X happens and Y and Z and all of these are lined up, then this would be your range of options. There's no one set solution. The Oxford group, or whatever their name was, offered people one set solution. It had the added benefit of being the scariest fucking solution that they could come up with, right? Bad coding, stupid scientists, and the whole works. So what did they do? What did the government do? Holy fuck, I'll have some of that. And guess what they do? Because this is what all governments do. They never let a good crisis go to waste. Okay, no, I don't have tinfoil hats or anything. I've been in government service long enough that I recognize their fallibilities. And one of their biggest fallibilities is whenever they have an opportunity to take a crisis and ride it to add to their power, they will do it every single day plus Sunday. So, yeah, I think that's why it happened, Donovan.
And to steal Gideon's quote, the ANC has never met a bad idea that they didn't like. So there's that.
Yeah. But they didn't play the scare card. They used global statistics. They still play the scare card. They play it every single day. Just go and look at it. Look at Zweli Mkhize. Ooh, you naughty people in the Western Cape. Ooh, we must adjust your behavior. You spreading this infection because you're surfing and you are going to your hairdresser and all that sort of nonsense. Utter bullshit. Yes, the Western Cape has got the highest proportion of cases. Yes, the Western Cape's also got the highest proportion of the fucking recoveries. And guess what, Zweli? It's 11% higher than your national statistics. Why don't you put that in your pipe and smoke it with the tobacco that your buddy Becky made illegal? There.
Yeah.
I wish you'd watch that. That would be so awesome.
Speaking of the figures, okay, so I haven't looked. Well, yeah, we'll come back to that. I thought that we were only supposed to be testing people that we genuinely thought were positive. Okay. So now we're sitting with over 1.1 million tests completed, and we've only identified under 80,000 positive cases so far, of which nearly 40,000 are recovered. Let me just make that very, very clear. Okay. So is this thing really as contagious as was initially thought?
Yeah, I'd say it's contagious, right? I mean, it's contagious within the parameters of reality. I'm not a virologist. Bad grammar. Okay, cool. We'll come back to Donovan's abysmal use of the English language. What's your boy, Donovan? Okay. So, well, I'm assuming you're a boy. I don't know. I don't care either. Anywho, coming back to the infectiousness of this disease. It's probably as infectious as pretty much any other coronavirus or influenza virus. Any virus that's projected out by the spittle and sort of respiratory fluids and vaping and all that sort of shit, right? Because It is what it is. Okay. And that's not the point. It doesn't really matter how infectious this is. And this is my opinion. Okay. And there's no MD behind my name or whatever. I'm just sort of, actually, I'm not marginally intelligent. I'm actually really fucking intelligent, but I also stop to ask the question why. And I do research, and I try and read it as widely as possible as I can.
Mm.
It doesn't really matter how infectious this thing is. Like flu is infectious, or like the cold is infectious, right? In fact, colds are pretty much caused by coronaviruses, not the 19 one, but some subset of them.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to get it, right? The overwhelming majority of people who get it, in my opinion, not even going to know they've had it. They're going to have a little oopsies fever spike for a day, which they're going to ascribe to, I don't know, feeling a little hot, right? Feeling that time of the month, feeling a little whatever it is. Okay.
Menopause.
Or
Hot
menopause,
flash.
if you're in that age bracket. Okay. Or whatever, I had a little bit too much to drink last night, or okay. But that's going to be how this impacts a huge portion of people. Okay. Then you're going to get the other huge portion who are going to, maybe I'll, go to bed for a day or so, or I'll take it easy or something like that. And, this is sort of the danger highlight that everyone, well, not everyone, but all the scaremongers are latching onto. Yes, and then you become the killer. You spread the disease. That's why you must wear a mask. Ooh. And a mask? What do we define as a mask, or more accurately, a face covering? Well, a T-shirt can be a face covering. No, not an American Swiss. We'll unpack that one just now. But a T-shirt can be a face covering. Yeah, a T-shirt doesn't stop those droplets. Okay, it just fucking doesn't. And you know what? Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I don't fucking care. It's no skin off my nose. I'll be straight up honest with you. The only reason I wear a mask is because I want to go into a shop to buy shit, and I don't want to get beaten up by some thug fucking little policeman who's got it into his head now that he is the school prefect with a gun. But yes, it is as infectious as it is, and that point doesn't really matter, because it's a very low consequence infectious disease for 98% of the people who get it.
Yeah. I found it quite amusing that, we had so many tests completed, and yet so many came back negative. And yet we're still just focusing on the total cases. And we only have 70.
Oh, okay. I see what you want to do is you want to do data comparison between active cases and total tests. And you're 100% correct, right? That should be where the issue goes. If you had a trustworthy testing regime.
Exactly.
Again, our government is so inconsistent, right? And no, we don't want a national health service, because that would just be fucking consistently awful. But our government is so inconsistent. We look at the various health, the province's health infrastructure, and we see some brilliant, especially in the Western Cape and some in Gauteng. Very small locations in Gauteng. Okay, maybe not so Gauteng so much, but you get where I'm going. And then you see utter shit in other parts of the countries, and you're thinking, are these test results consistent? Do they have the infrastructure to test consistently? How much credibility can I put into this? How many of those tests have been compromised? Hell, even the Brits, who passed masters at bureaucracy and admin, they really are. What they had another data qualitative issue with tests being double counted. The French have one almost every second fucking week. If you look at the stats, you see, low, huge, and then a fucking huge correction where it's minus 1,000 or minus 3,000, etc. So I don't know. It's I think the Germans had the best testing regime. If we could replicate that, then I'd maybe say there's a lot of validity in making that sort of comparative analysis. But until then,
we just don't have the infrastructure to,
or
the wherewithal.
Listen, we've been sold such utter fucking bullshit. I was meant to look it up for Gideon today, but you had someone whining about, oh no, the hospitals in the Western Cape are being overwhelmed. And you're thinking, yeah, really, except the health services are collectively reporting 208 serious cases. Okay, let's double that. Let's make it 400 serious cases. Okay, we've got, I don't know, Beth, don't hold me to this. I think it's like 3,000 some odd ICU and high care beds spread across the country. Hopefully a little bit more, although they didn't fucking do very much with the lockdown, right? They made little motorbike
they
ambulances
really prepared
and
made quarantine facilities at Nasrec Exhibition Centre, and I think the Cape Town International Convention Centre. And
aren't we so glad we fucked 1 million people out of their jobs for that? Anywho, okay, so coming back, right? So we have like, let's lowball it, right? Let's call it 3,000 ICU beds in the country. I'm sure it's more. Okay, and we have these 400. Again, I'm doubling their stated amount. So we have 416. Let's call it 420 serious or high care COVID ICU cases. Okay. But here's the thing, right? So a person goes to hospital, and I have this somewhat at first hand. I'm not going to share the names of the people who told me. They go to hospital. Their treatment regime is Panados and fucking vitamin C and fluids. But they keep them in fucking hospital. Well, I'm sorry. Fuck you. You're making your own fucking work. Send those people home. Oh, no, but they can't isolate at home. Well, who fucking cares? Right? That's, do you care about it when they have influenza? No, fuck them. Go home. Right? Look after the people who need to be looked after. Stop making these blanket solutions for a very small, percentage of the problem. Deal with the 400 and where were we? We said 420 ICU and high care cases. And then who cares about the 770,000, whatever? Who cares? Right? Because they don't need a fucking hospital. They need Panado, vitamin C, whatever their treatment regime is. But I think it's literally that: vitamin C, Panado, and fluids. Okay. Yeah. Go to hospital when you need a hospital. Sorry, I'm taking over your show.
No, but that's exactly why I invited you on, because you are such an enigmatic person that can really, you speak really well about it. And maybe you can teach me how to rant, because I can rant when I'm on my own, and then I sit in front of this camera and I have this headset on and I'm like, not be all sweet and stuff, and I'm not really. Like, I do have teeth.
Okay, so, you should drink a better glass of whiskey then.
Maybe I should start drinking again. Maybe that's what my problem is. I just need a little bit of Dutch courage.
No, then don't do it. No, people will say that I pressure you into drinking.
No, it's nothing like that at all. I stopped getting drunk, but I still got a hangover. So I was just like, this is.
Then you were drinking the cheap shit. Let me give you my life experience in drinking. Not that I'm some sort of high functioning alcoholic. I'm not. I actually don't drink that much, except on Fridays on Gideon's show. But I will tell you the secret to non-hangover drinking. It's Namibian beer. Well, German beer. Any Reinheitsgebot beer is fine, but Namibian beer, especially if you want to do beer, tafel, and some more tafel. And if in a pinch, you can do Windhoek as well. And then
what I really
Irish
enjoy
whiskey.
in summer is a Windhoek light. I really enjoy that.
Tafel makes a good light. You should get them. I
shall bear that in mind when it's warm again.
Yeah.
It's very cold in Joburg at the moment. Very cold.
And for the cold weather, whiskey and vodka, perfect. And if you just stick to one of them, no worries about hangovers.
I think we might still have some Kilkenny in the cupboard. I don't know.
There we go.
Scratch. I am 1/4 Irish, so I'm very proud.
I kind of figured that out when I heard your kid's name.
Yeah, only my dad would probably kill me if he was still here and knew that I had given them Catholic names, because apparently we were
Protestant
actually
Irish.
Protestant.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wasn't brought up religious, so I just like the name.
Genetic makeups are very interesting. I once did one of those DNA tests. They're very, very
Oh,
interesting.
really?
So yeah, so I can tell you categorically, I'm a very interesting mix. I've got a whole bunch of Celtic in me, right? Like a lot of Celtic, Scottish, Irish, Welsh, you know, quite a bit of Malaysian, right?
Oh, wow.
And then Dutch. So I have this really, really interesting fucking genetic heritage going into me. But I will say that I'm 100% an asshole. So there we go.
Storm's popping in to say hi with his special brand of comedy. Hello, Storm.
Top of the morn. Okay. It's not fucking morning, Storm. Right? Look outside your window. Look, it's dark. Oh, you can't see outside my window, but it's dark here. Anyway, you must
maybe he doesn't
stop
keep a normal schedule.
Well, maybe it's the ecstasy, and he's looking outside.
Be.
Ooh, it's light. Top of the morning to you.
Gosh, you do a better accent than me. Okay, so.
Yes.
The American Swiss thing. Tell me about that. And why did you have such a big issue with it? Like, why would you be upset that your daughter wouldn't be allowed in a shop, Bryan? Why didn't you leave them at home? Like everybody on Facebook said, the children are supposed to stay at home.
Well, no.
Didn't you know?
Two people on Facebook said. Most everyone said that Americans was yes. Well, you're just exaggerating. You're not over-exaggerating. It's a little redundant, but that's just my OCD. Anywho, okay. Coming back to this. So why did I make a plethora about it? Because you know what? Again, it was bullshit. And it was a real sort of metaphorical slap in the face of my daughter. I mean, she walked away from there feeling like, I wasn't good enough to go in your shop. Okay. I mean, listen, to be fair, she's got a fairly strong character. So her response now is fuck them. But you get where I'm going. It's, it's the utter bullshit. Which parent wouldn't get pissed off if someone kicked their kid out? And here's the thing now. So to be fair, the ops manager from American Swiss has actually phoned me back. We have a difference of opinion, but a polite one, right? We've agreed to disagree, because his manageress was, still fucking adamant that she kicked Haley, my daughter, out of the shop because Haley wasn't wearing her mask. She had her mask here, right? It had slipped down. I mean, come on, what logical person would have said, "Do you mind just putting your mask on?" My mom went back the next day, passing by, and she sort of, tried to understand what led to the situation. And the manageress then told her, "Oh, but she was wearing the wrong mask. She was wearing a buff, exactly the same as what my wife was wearing." They were quite happy for my wife to be in the shop and spend money, but they wanted my daughter to stand outside. This is South Africa, but not. Withstanding that, where in the world would you leave your kid outside whilst you go in and shop? Especially when you're looking for earrings for my wife and for her. What's the logical thing?
Why didn't they just allow her to fix her mask or buff or whatever? And
but because I mean, I can understand why, and the manageress was ego driven. It's like, I'm going to use a very different scenario to give you the same example. I don't know if you've seen on my Facebook feed this video of a police officer in the US tasering a big guy, and he tases him, and the guy says, "Hey, listen," he sort of grabs it out. The first taser has no effect. "I'm not trying to fight." But the entire initiation started when he barked an order at the guy, and the guy turned around and said, "Why?" And then he pulled his taser out and he started to use force. And the reason that and the sort of context is this: you go from zero to aggression when you have no understanding and you have no ability to overcome your own ego. So the manageress of American Swiss in Hermanus Station Mall is so bound by her ego that to be aggressive with an 8-year-old girl was her only possible way forward. And because she responded with aggression, my wife, who is no fucking little wallflower by any means, She was a police officer for 18 years. She put the woman in her place, right? And said, no, you will not. Now,
as would I.
As would any adult, any parent,
Any
certainly.
parent.
Well, hopefully,
Yeah.
yes. Right? I mean, you just told my daughter to get out the shop. I mean, what do you think I'm going to be fucking nice to you? No, fuck you. Well, I don't know if my wife used that language. She's typically a whole lot better than I am with that sort of thing. But she definitely spoke her mind, and then she walked out. Right? But, you know, the fact that the manageress still believes, still probably to this day, that she's perfectly in the right, that ticks me off. Because no, you weren't. Listen, I have a lifetime of dealing with confrontational events. There's so many easier ways to deal with them. Number one is don't be a dickhead out the starting gate.
And especially in a depressed economy, and you're working in retail, you would expect to.
You're working in high-end retail too.
Yes.
Well, American
you know,
sort of high-end.
You need to be. Well, the thing is, Bryan, it's only people that have disposable income that are going to be spending it in American Swiss at the moment, and there's not very many people left with that at the moment.
No.
So you kind of should be tripping over your own feet to make people want to come back to your store and to recommend your store, not to have your store put on social media as having bullied an 8-year-old child.
Oh, that really took off. That really got shared around a lot. I think the last time I checked, it was like 150 or 200 different shares just from my profile. I have no many ideas how many onward shares from there, but I've had quite a few messages, most of them super positive. So that was cool to see. There were a couple of fuckwits who, why did you take your kid to the? I just, you know.
Yeah. Kennis met tuis bly. Really.
No, sorry. This was the other thing that I wanted to tell you. So the other component of the discussion that this manager started to have with my wife, and she literally just started when my wife just said, no, you're talking bullshit, and left, was she was starting to say, but children are in the highest risk group. I'm sorry. That's just, you know what, you've just given away all your stupidity. But
maybe she's still in the camp that believes that children are super spreaders.
Maybe she's still in the camp that believes that COVID-19 is actually a dangerous disease.
Yes. No, it's very deadly. You know, like I found it very funny when it was announced that we were going to this level approach. The government then started sending out SMSs that, not to panic. Don't panic. And then this past week, then they went quiet for like a month, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, they're not sending
those little SMSs.
Anymore.
I love replying to them. I know they don't read them, but I keep on replying, fuck off, fuck you, and all that sort of stuff.
I wish I knew that they were reading them. Like when the DA told me to go vote for them last year, and I told them to fuck off. And they haven't SMS'd me again. No, but they haven't SMS'd me again, so I'm assuming that they just took me off their database. But
you said their safe word.
With the database. Then the SMSs picked up again, and now this week it's been coronavirus is real. And it's like, but just a little while ago you were saying don't panic. Now you're trying to incite panic again. Like, seriously. And we know when it's an SMS from the government, because it happens between 10:30 in the morning and 11. Okay. And my husband's phone goes off and mine goes off simultaneously. And then we know. It's like, okay, that's the government at it again.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm being rude. Someone's just trying to get hold of me.
No, that's cool.
Just give me a second.
I know you've had a crazy day as well.
Yeah, I actually got off a call just before I got off with you. Let me see if I can multitask.
Got off with me. Please just rephrase that.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Cool.
We are both married to different people. Like, come on now. Let's not give people the wrong impression here.
Absolutely. Cool.
But we have
So,
been going for 50 minutes, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. But I think we're
it
starting
has
to run
been
out of
super fun.
steam. Thank you
Cool.
so much for
Well,
joining me. Yes.
before we go, does anybody have any other questions aside
been very
from
quiet.
mistaking evening with morning?
His answer to that was that it's morning somewhere.
It is morning somewhere indeed, but it's not morning here. Oh, cool.
And Mr. Punisher was
Cool.
obviously referring to the manageress at American Swiss when he said that.
American Swiss. Absolutely. Anyway, yeah, no, I you know what? I think we've had a good chat. I look forward to doing it again, and it was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thanks so much for
Cool.
coming on, Bryan. I really appreciate it. And
I'm coming on.
I really need to learn with you not to leave myself open for any of those.
Well, I just did it, with getting off. So I got to have the coming on again.
There we go. And for anybody who might find the replay and enjoy this, please like it, share it with your friends. It helps us get the message out. And yeah, we'll chat soon. Subscribe and like.
Cool beans.
Thank you. Cheers.